Shout out to the grassroots. Shout out to the new voices of black media. Shout out. We out here doing this. Let's talk today again. I'm coming back. Shout out to Vicky Dillard. I call people names. Shout out because there's a lot going on, and I just watched some of the clip of her talking to the audience about the Homestead Act and how important that is very valuable. There's a lot that we're connected to that we have to unpack. Shout out to the grassroots. I'm King Hart. Subscribe to my channel if you like to. I got a fan base page on Facebook called Lending a Contribution. I am on Twitter, and it's called the Black Uprise. I'm here to ring the bell on my side of the world. People that can connect for me, that I can point to other people. Because we are here to proxy each other. That's what business I'm in. Because as a black people, we need an anchored and balanced functional unit in terms of approaching policy and politics and in terms of approaching our safety. That is our safety because we are in a society in which gives certain elements to a people for safety, and we haven't received that. So shout out to the grassroots. But let me tell you, however, let me go on in terms of what do y'all think black people are crazy? I'm sure you do. I mean, in some aspect, I do. But let me let you know something. Those who are on the grassroots, in terms of this argument and this movement we have, reparations being the primary source of it. Reparations. We're not crazy. You crazy. You're more crazy. A lot of y'all more crazy than we are. You don't even a lot of y'all don't have. You are so brainwashed. People who oppose this and so backwards and brainwashing policy till when we talk about this, you learn that your intellect and your ideology have did you a disservice. You're not even the epitome of respect. You're not you're not the epitome of a law-abiding citizen. You have the makeup of a mob. We here today. Let's talk about it. You are not the epitome of intelligence. You have done yourself a disservice, and not only you have done yourself, the nation has allowed you and provided you an intellectual disservice because now we woke and we rise. We rise. We look straight to the punch. You understand? We're dealing with a system that we have been locked around and out of and under, that we serve with our blood. We're looking at a system that we built rich empire, judges, courthouses, and we don't have one anchored sustainability network system that pours into our cause and our historical events, our historical exchanges, our historical rights in terms of rights and constitutional rights. We have no liberties that came to us from the Homestead Act. When the president was distributing all the land to people to access the wealth of this nation in terms of capital and respect. Everybody at the table must have something that can equate to the same level in order to be adjacent in exchanging business. How you going to invite somebody to the room and they don't have what it takes to be in the room? They can be exploited by everybody in that room. You ever seen an event go on where you're required to be a certain attire and you don't have that attire, you don't get in? If they allow you to come in without that attire, people might sniggle, go, what's this right here? Are you the stripper that's about to be exploited? You're different, but you're certainly not us. So you're talking to an heir of those people. You're talking to a direct DNA of descendant of slavery. And that's who that is. People who had to go under hardship and actually shed blood for the safety securing the wealth and liberties of this nation. And you deny me my rights. You deny the group who had to die. Then you will say with an argument, you did too. Of course. because there were wars where other people got involved. But you all were corrected. The Native Indians, people argue about what they get. Actually, they so-called Native, but the American Negro is Native too. He's more Native than white people. They came here by choice as immigrants to claim victory to a nation and to enslave my ancestors, which executed for hundreds of years. You gave these so-called Native Indians their casinos, they're tax-free. They can pick it up checks. You even gave it to other groups that come here from other nations, decreeing and declaring that they are subject to be poor or without if you don't protect them. And you got a descendant of slavery preaching to you about it. You don't think I know I'm supposed to be protected by policy as a taxpayer? Not just as a taxpayer, but as an individual that belongs to a group that is the apparatus of your safety and wealth. You got it twisted. We rise. We came to talk. So we're dealing with a presence of people in a nation that says, I'm going to break the law against black people. I'm not going to abide by the law. Yes, the president signed off on the Homestead Act. People supposed to get 160 acres. Black supposed to get 40 acres and a mule that we never got. White people disproportionately benefited and got all the land. Because of racism, you wouldn't allow it. Because you had numbers. You had a fear, a group of people who are fear, without property, without ammunition, that are slaves, that you can kill lawfully, hang on trees. So you deny them their safety. They can relegate to safety. They have to relegate to running and hide or working and being exploited by you. Because our second nature of life failed us, which is politics outside of God. Our breath, how we move, what we drink water, how we eat, what we access. We was pushed away from under the shelter out in the rain and said, you better not get wet. And then when we got wet, it was like, oh, you deserve to be beat up now. We told you not to get wet. We were laughed at and talked about when our children was being taken from us. Threatened, hosed down, doing Jim Crow. We mirror all this documented heinous acts of racism. And other people get protection off the constitutional rights that are deserving to us. This is where it stops. This is where it stops. Because we rise. We, as black people, understand what has happened here. We give the Homestead Act to white people. They didn't do nothing spectacular. They was chosen to give that to because the nation said that we were going to take the idea. We're not going to abide by the Constitution and serve people in a way in which they deserve it because it's not who we are. And if they don't say nothing, which is us, then we damn sure ain't going to serve them. So now we realize we have to declare a unit by our own community, which is hard for us to do now because the war on drugs worked. When you deny black people resources that anchor them in business and anchor them in respect, you can't come to the table and discuss capital without something to offer in exchange of business camaraderie like other groups can, because you as a black person have not been able to access that which belong to you. So you're not welcome in this room. You don't have any capital. We don't have any sacred place, no sustainability or protection that we can sustain ourselves. We can get exploited. We showing up at the meeting. We showing up at the event, but we don't have the funds to get in. So anybody from anywhere, whether they're from another country or whether they're a white person, well, if you don't have the money, I'll hire you. But we built it. Our ancestors would say, oh, we built this nation. Everything that you guys are doing right now, it cost me hardship and blood to build, but I can't come in. And I'm old. There's the writing on the wall. But you say no. And y'all say, because we say no. Doesn't matter what the Constitution states. It's about race. You're not East Indian. We don't give loans to you. Your constitutional rights been withheld. Where are you coming from? That's the culture of the United States. We don't give you constitutional rights. We bring up affirmative actions that we disproportionately serve white women to and gays. You think we're stupid? So you're not protected as a black person. And yes, you can be exploited. You can work for somebody. And if you get smart and something go down, you're likely to go to the prison camp in which we have around this situation for you and get free labor from you. So we're still in a subservient exchange in a very heinous way. We can't access the betterment of life and to be in a protection throughout the limbs of liberty in which we serve with our blood. So you got us black people going around serving at the party. We built it. We made the tables. We came up with the ideas, but we coming in there serving and everybody else sitting in there getting the attributes, getting all the glory and all the perks of what it provides off my suffering. And then I'm coming offering you a cracker and some cheese. That's a damn slave. But I got somebody in this group, in this room, who partaking in the ownership of my suffering, my ideas even, appropriating my culture. I'm talking about immigration. And I got to come in here and see them aiming to tell me what to do and to try to tell me who I am. And you ain't even at home. You got a lot of nerves. You a coward. I built this country. And I invented it. A black woman invented the GPS? A cell phone? Is this about y'all actually being afraid of us? Being able to have choices in terms of power sector so that we can be protected and live better? Or slavery, is it fun to you? You see, because other people are here now thinking they can get on the side with the most weight on and control black people. This is where we stop. That's why we got pull-up summer. We're not going to do this no more. We'd rather die than do this. This is a revolutionary war. You are not going to continue to suffer me with a blood debt that you owe me as a right and a liberty that I provided for you. And liberty is life right next to God. That I get shelter and safety. Are you crazy? Do you know what this is? Black people who are off code, wake the hell up. Because you will be pulled apart very soon. Our politicians don't even realize a lot of them who they are. You're nowhere, you're there to serve the narrative. We don't have an anchored institution that pours into our concerns. Every institution that was born for black people are raising and protecting and buffering other groups from other nations. And they run their mouth against us. They have not did this on their own. They get up and stand and take benefits and all accolades off of somebody else's hardship and blood debt, and they ain't even at home. When I was a child, my grandmother wouldn't let me go to nobody else's house and beg because they said, eat what we have. I couldn't go to the Joneses because they had shrimp and steak. I had to stay there and eat my soup, my rice, because I had pride. We have pride. That's respect. We are the epitome of intelligence and respect. Maybe we'll have steak Friday once we get it, but we don't go begging. So if you really want to know something, when you're doing all of this and you're not showing appreciation to the people who are responsible for providing it, you begging and you out of order. You ain't even at home. I'm supposed to stand on the outside of a freedom, a liberty with no self-preservation. Let me tell you something, black politicians. You up there, you don't have no anchor institution that serves us today. Because simply that, every anchor institution that was born for the United States Negro, the American Negro, has been infiltrated by government wishes and by whatever concern that they have. And you, as a paid politician and a black person, is serving as a paid slave. Because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You don't even have an anchor place to do it. There's no institution that's built for only black people. We're not part of the Latino caucus. We're not part of the Asian caucus. We're not part of nothing like that. We're not part of the Jewish monies and stuff. We don't go to their schools and their religious centers. We don't get to mirror their success. We don't get the privilege of white women when they go, but they disproportionately benefit from affirmative actions. Everything that belongs to us links to someone else's buffering. That's how slaves exist. They don't exist like people. You can't give them something like they're people. You don't realize how in depth, how embedded this idea, this ideology is in your intellect that we can't dismantle. We making some noise. It's time out. I'm trying to be diligent about this in my conversation, but we are here. We here. You ain't finna fool me and trick me, even you black Republicans. I'm independent. I have Republican views and some Democratic views, but not a lot, because there's some. But let me tell you something, black Republicans, you don't scare nobody either. With your dunce hat on, die hard, you ain't fooling nobody, because the truth is what's gonna matter. A lie can walk around heaven, walk around all day long, but when the truth, it don't matter. Let me tell you something, don't nothing change till the truth put his pants on and walk around. That's when things get mattered. That's when things get accounted for. This is a real science. This is a real science. You are positioned in a real way. It's not about the go along, get along gang. This is about good health, beautiful exchanges. This is about safety. This is about self-preservation. This is about a family unit, a community, a society unit that are deserving of something. You are in trouble, the United States. You have offered my liberties to everyone except for me. You are in trouble. I am in litigation with the United States government, federal government, to the point where I am eating the failure of subservient lockout. To the betterment of choices, to ownership. You never shared, I never got the Homestead Act. So I'm locked out of business camaraderie. I can't sit at the table of business, and none of my leaders. We don't have any leaders. Everybody who serve in the black community on power seats are there to serve the narrative. Because you don't have an anchored, sustainable institution that serves black people politically And you should be ashamed of your damn selves. We don't have the idea of bufferness and buffering our community from the head. And if you get the head, the ass will follow. And we ain't got the head. And our politicians do not want to speak up, and they are actually afraid of what's going on in the grassroots. They scared. They like, where in the hell did they get this from? Who come up with this that we zeroed into? They're scared. We tired of this buck dancing you doing for your masters. People paying you to tell our other black people, stay behind the gate. You're a gatekeeper. And you're supposed to be an upholder of the law. The law has been broken in my community. I can't put a roof on my mother's house in terms of me doing what I got to do and where I come from and mirroring all these different heinous acts to build America. My great-grandfather burned alive by the KKK. People doing exhibits on my suffering, writing books. And I don't have an institution to back me up. And every institution I crack on, we got a bunch of Mexicans involved. The NAACP, the CDC. This is embarrassing and offensive and very, very, very disingenuous. So black people in power seats, you're slaves. You're political slaves. You are. You're serving the nation according to what they want you to do. You don't have a self-preservation to practice. In other words, they're telling you you don't exist outside of that. You don't exist as a black person. You don't get to mirror the bufferness of being black because there's no such thing. Black people don't live like that. Black people are savages. They supposed to die off and kill each other. You don't have no anchored institution that serves black people by themselves. I'm not just doing anything for black people. Do you vote these people in who say that to you to your face? We see it. We tired of y'all. We see what's going on. Gen X generation. We standing. Black power. We taking pride in ourselves. We know why the police getting shot. A police shooting on a black man. Because the head in the government says that black people are not important. There's no policy. Because when you get the head, everybody else get the memo of who we are. That's the chessboard. Sheila Lee Jackson was afraid to talk black politics. First of all, she's not the American Negro. Sheila Lee Jackson, the head of the CDC, she's from Jamaica. Her family's from Jamaica. They came here for the cushion of the United States, to serve here as a cushion to their family of what we built. We built the White House with our blood, sweat, and tears. We built the Capitol, where people are now shouting their victories from, with our blood, sweat, and tears. We built this nation. We built the foundation of the courts, where you go in there as a theater to tell me to apply the whole rule of law against me when I commit a crime. And we can watch our babies and whoever else be shot by white supremacists or police officers or citizens, and then you give them probation or serve them in terms of the exchanging of law. The law is there to protect people, and they are being treated like people until we say something, until we hit the pavement. And then you become and get fear and serve right. This is what we're going to have to do. Let you know this ain't no joke. You serving other groups with my blood sacrifice lineage. You giving other people my inheritance that I'm deserving as a lawful a native. We natives. You see, we're different. We're the most unique people on this earth, on this side of heaven. We got everything running through our blood. Somebody look at you as a bottom feeder and trash. You get to exploit us sexually, historically, and all this stuff in our blood. We are the American Negro. We not no African American. That's Jesse Jackson trying to do that. We were exploited, and we look in other places trying to find our blackness, so we come up under whistleblower terms. You got to watch those terms. The American Negro could be a Nigerian. He's American now. I mean, not the American Negro, but the African American could be Nigerian. Excuse me. Because he's from Africa and he's an American now. But he could never be the American Negro. He did not experience his sufferings. He didn't eat the failure of who the American Negro is today. And he's not locked out of policy and what's owed to the American Negro as the American Negro, because he's not the American Negro. He's an African American. And I'm not an African American. He don't carry the last name of white folk, slave owner. I do. Not him. His name may be Lapupi, or whoever. But we, as descendants of slaves, 50 million of us carry the last name of white folk, unless we change it. We are that in which serve you. We are the apparatus to the engine of wealth. We are that. We are the belly of this country. We serve this nation with our sacrifice. We mirror the sufferings through all these different exhibits you do on us. People writing books on slavery, and we don't have no pocket and no institution that serves us in terms of us having a head. We have to have an anchored head positioning in order for anybody to take leadership. And you killed that, America. And this is where it stops. You bomb Black Wall Street from the air with a U.S. military equipment. And you do an exhibit on them. Those people down there, 3 people, 4 people left. These people from Black Wall Street all over the country, dispersed. We're the descendant of slavery. We're the American Negro. My great-granddaddy was burned alive by the KKK in Alabama. Oh, you forgot about Rosewood. We can go on and on. You're trying to hide from the fact that we're going to believe you only owe certain sectors of Black community? Oh, no. You owe the whole Black society, descendants of slaves. We're supposed to be anchored in a liberty, regardless of some of our people who are dysfunctional in terms of what's happened to them. You are not to continue to deny me resourceful exchange in terms of a litigation that you owe me a blood debt, so that I can live better and I can demonstrate things better in terms of protection. Something something over us and right out, something that we're connected to, that we serve, that's right next to God. And that's our politics. That's our liberties before our children. And you tell me that I don't deserve liberty in life? I had to sit down and understand who I was historically without the school teaching me. Black woman created GPS. Black woman created cell phone. People get to say what all I did outside of the school, but I get to mirror white contribution. So I go home and I don't really have an anchored place of interest, because I'm not reflecting me. Only someone else. And then get to walk home and get treated with racism, trying to buy a hamburger from Chantilly restaurant. That's what happens. Until my uncle heard about it. And then we all got together as Black people. And we showed up. It was 100 of us. And they lost. And the principal at the school at the time, he was fired. He lost his house. And he sooner or later killed himself and his wife. His name was Gary Edwards. Because he practiced racism. There was a 21-year-old white boy in school who hit me. He called me the N-word. I was only 14. He had no business in school. They were trying to keep him in school so he could get his graduate, because it was kind of, he wasn't slow, but back then they would let people stay in school. So I went in the cheerleaders room and got a spirit stick and came outside and would boom right across his head. And he hollered, he cracked me. And the principal tried to expel me, and the principal let him come to school, gave him a day or two off, and suspended me for a whole week or two. And my mother and the other people in the community went to the school board. And all the parents got involved. And when I went to Chantilly about the burger when I got out of school, there was some more white boys waiting. There were some old uncles of theirs who tried to run us off the road. All of this. Now, let me tell you something. That has something to do with the anchoring of black people. I didn't do nothing to this guy. He felt like I'm a black guy. He wanted to call me the N-word and hit me in my face. But you tell me I don't deserve to protect myself as a nation. This is what this is. When we still don't have policy. I didn't do nothing to him. My family built his liberties. But the United States said that he could do that to me. My family built his government. But he's allowed to lawfully look at me and disrespect as bottom feeder and harm me. And then lawfully be treated by law with better and dignified exchanges when I get to suffer and can't even go to school to learn now because I'm protecting myself from a grown man as a 14, 13-year-old child. And did today talking about policy in the Homestead Act, which owed to me locked out of business, where other people are exchanging in business, and I got politicians up there. You politicians up there, you need to hear this. Jim Clyburn and them, y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to be real with you. Yes, I'm a Gen X generation. You ought to be my mothers and fathers. Some of you grandparents ought to be my grandparents. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You are taking up for immigration is looking really bad on you. When you got black people out here that are deserving of what policies we should have inside your legislative body. You don't read books. I got a desk full. Inside your legislative body, we got protection that, I just read this, we got protection that you supposed to honor us. You don't even know what self-preservation is, but you can fry some fish for a very disingenuous white man who didn't even give you nothing and told you to your face he's not going to even do police reform. Joe Biden, not Joe, Joe Biden come to mind. Excuse me, I mean to say the Honorable Judge Joe Brown is so beautiful. That's our uncle. That's our king. But the Joe Biden come to mind when I tell you, you have served someone who won't even give you a glass of water. You don't put a East Indian woman in the White House talking about she black and her dressing looked like a granola bar when she put it on there for Christmas. It didn't look like ours. She lied. She a lie. I bet she smelled like Corey. She a lie. She said, I'm not going to just do anything for black people. And y'all put her up there in the way. And now she a puppet for white supremacy because she don't realize who they are. And she married to one. She's a slave. But she ain't there like me. She put herself in slavery. I built the nation which she benefit from. She came here to be clean and safe and enjoy. That I haven't received her liberties as an equal right. So y'all up there playing games. Sheila Lee Jackson, we know you really a Jamaican, but you're going to abide by our policy or you're going to be pulled apart. This ain't no joke. You're not going to keep us in dire situation. We can't live. Giving all our money to other groups and capital and giving all our policy to people when we don't have no protection. You can exploit the people that don't have any solutions or any sanctuary or protection, any home. We out here in the street. People oftentimes that are homeless get ruled off to death because they're in dire situation. That's the American Negro. He's homeless. In terms of really being protected, unless he's working like a dog and giving it all away. and still being harmed. We don't move adjacent to the way groups moves in this United States in terms of her liberties and laws. We've been locked out. And black folks don't want to see that. You gave these executive orders, this last president, to all these damn groups in our face. And we got black politicians that are built institutions that are born to serve us. And you tell me you're not a slave as a politician. You are a paid slave. You're an overseer. You have a shameful legacy. They have not afforded you respect. You and what you're doing has afforded the rights of other people to trample over your society. And you're not ashamed of yourself as a people. So in terms of a society, Jim Clyburn, we're your family, but I don't claim you. Listen, you change your rhetoric. This is war. You are not to feed the enemy. The Bible tell you that. And some of y'all have made yourselves our enemies. Y'all killing us by y'all choices. We in a war of being denied resources to die off. And you're voting against your behalf as black people and so-called elders and unwoke black people, unastute, political neophytes. We don't got time for that. Like Vicky Diller say, with your funny looking self. We ain't got time. This ain't no game. We built this country. Blood sacrifice. We deserve some water. And sustained water where it keeps coming in and it generates power. We deserve to eat the wealth of this nation in our sector of life in terms of law and liberties. We deserve that in terms of structured balance, a legislative order. What do you think this is? You giving away stuff to people and they're appropriating our culture? These people are so great, they poor. They just have a right now. They have more freedoms because they're not us. The United States only know how to go against us. This is the origin of who they were and are. You got to understand this is bigger than people's ideas. This is something that was before everybody here today that we're still carrying on through ignorance. And you won't give the American Negro his experience and due because you're ignorant or you're racist. That is racism. You altered our life by militantly involving yourself, withholding that which keeps me alive and safe. My protection. Me owning something protects me. It puts me in the Bill of Rights. It put me at the table. It signifies I am protected. You give it to a Latino from somewhere else, we can't get up and go no damn Guatemala and start working and getting in people's business and politics. We can't go nowhere. Africans, we got to pay. We say we African, they laugh us out that damn assembly. We are the born and bred and raised corn-fed American Negro. Over 400 years, you made a people. Don't call me no African American. Don't do it. I can say one thing. I'm proud to be the American Negro. Because we some beautiful people. We strong. We the best scholars in the global diaspora. You intended for us not to be who we are, but we are who we are. And if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have the beauty of the United States liberties and wealth. We are the apparatus of that. And you're telling us we don't deserve freedoms and respect. And that's why our people getting harmed by police officers. And you look at a court we built with our blood and give us the full extent of the law thrown at us and practice the intelligence of the law for other people and humanize them and then dehumanize us even when we are innocent. And we serve this country with our blood, sweat and tears, and our death. And we still have a law that's being denied to us unlawfully. Black people, This is a waking giant. Wake up. You will be pulled apart. This not a game we playing here. Because we'll be playing with our lives. This ain't no game, Obama. You lied to us, to our faces. You kept food out of our mouth. You kept good services from me, being aided properly. Where my life is at